So I think that we, in our way, our approach, our way of wanting to kind of find like a tent that we can rest in our own understanding, we want things to be black and white. So when God says it's not good for man to be alone, we're like, so you got to have community. Right? And I'm like, with these people, I'm like, if you bring up community like every time I talk to you, that's a red flag. Because I feel like you need community. And if you need community in this way where you haven't experienced being alone with God, and so there's actually very little that this relationship can actually bloom into because you have such a tight grip on it. And by all means, like, you are where you are, like I was where I was. But I think in this way, God has met me and he has shown me that his ways are higher. And he is the God of seasons. Everything has a time underneath the sun. But everything is good in its right time. My hair buzzing. Everything is good in its time. And so it's not this all sizes fit, or whatever am I trying to say? It's not this black and white thing. Okay? It's not this, and that's not even how relationships even work anyway. So if everything is good underneath the sun, then you being alone with the Lord, you being in an isolated season, you being single or whatever you want to call it, is very much good for you. And I am finding that it's actually making the quality of when I'm with people that much greater. And this is a quality that I'm receiving that I couldn't receive if I was always surrounded by community. If God knows, and this is where God is a really good parent and his ways are higher than ours, and this is where we could feel disappointed in the moment or in the season or whatever, saying, this is not good for me. If you loved me, you wouldn't have me alone like this. If you loved me, you wouldn't do this, right? But we don't know anything. And then you have people in church that are trying to make this all make sense. And they're just like, well, God says you're not supposed to be alone. Community, community, community. I'm just like, well, you're going to have a diminished quality of relationship, I believe. Right? Because there's going to be something that's imbalanced there. Because I think that it will require God, I mean, at least speaking from my life, to take you away from that. Because there's this fear of being alone. So I'm not speaking for everybody or whatever, but I do feel like that is actually a healthy thing for God to remove you away from the community for a lot of reasons. Not forever, okay? Because I don't think that's necessary. I don't think we have to be so severe, right? That's where just like, it's either community or not community. You're either with us or against us. It's like, chill out, bro. No, God is a God about seasons. Okay, and if you're saying that everything is good underneath the sun and everything has its rightful time, then you being away from people is very much good for you. And I'm experiencing this in my life. As whenever I was surrounded by people, I was like a sponge to everyone's mindset. Okay, and in their mindset, I wasn't able to find my expression. Right? And in my expression is where my freedom is. That's where my individual footprint is. That's where my voice is. Right? And I think God has taken me away from that to show me, to be the only influence in my life, to actually bring out Brandon, right? To bring him out so that whenever he puts me back, I'm not swayed back and forth by everyone's mindset. And I can actually have my voice without feeling confused or doubtful or a fear of being perceived a certain way, right? This is where he sees everything and he says, this is what's best for you. Like, it's not about like everyone thinking the same. It's like, I want people to know they have individual voices. I want people to know, like, I want you to know that you have a voice and a perspective. And if you have been in this community thing and you felt like you needed community in this sort of way where you're this fear of being alone, it's like, it's okay to be in community, but it's not the solution. Just like the solution isn't to be away from community. These things just become neutral zones, right? As God says, it is good for you to be away in this season, and it's good for you to come back in this season. It's good for you to go away in this season because from this place, I am removing that influence that you've had, this fear of being perceived a certain way, feeling like you don't have a voice, feeling like you have to be agreeable to people, or whatever is imbalanced there. It's imbalanced because you don't have a clearer picture of yourself. So I take you away from community. I bring you into a season of isolation, singleness, whatever you want to call it. I bring you into the valley. I strip off the things that don't belong to you. And then I call you out. I speak tenderly to you in the wilderness. Then you come alive, right? And you find that I honor you. And you find that I honor you. And from this place, I bring you back into community. And now you're a different person, and things just have to shift. And you're able to enjoy yourself and enjoy them and be with them in a way that you couldn't be with them before. And receive from them in a way you couldn't receive before. And to give to them in a way that you couldn't give before. So it's good. It's all good. It's just not this like one size fits all kind of thing. Community being bad, community being good. I'm not an advocate for not having community. I'm an advocate for God, seasons, order, timing. That's what I believe I'm an advocate for, right? It's too small-minded of me to be like, well, I've been alone my whole life, basically, and so community is not good. Here's what it's like. No, this is what I've received because God has had me away, but I believe he is going to introduce me back, and I'm starting to see little waves of this. And what I'm realizing is, oh, he's done a lot of work in me. Like, he's brought out me. And I see how I'm different than other people, but not in the superior kind of way. There is this honor concerning myself. That now there's this harmony in the community type of thing because I'm not feeling like I have to agree with them or disagree with them to be with them. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't have to be that. And in that type of community, like, I mean, there's going to be some feathers that are ruffled. It'll most likely be theirs because I'm not thinking the same way anymore. So there's, old community and old mindsets that he'll probably take you away from, where if he were to put you in the old way, it wouldn't work because he is taking you away from an old way of thinking, a collective way of thinking, and into a place of singleness, isolation, where he can be the only influence in your life. And now you're going to think and operate in a different way. So you can't really go back to the old community, or you're going to like beckon them to change or something, right? Your light is going to infect where they are in the darkness because God has taken you and just found you in darkness and singleness and whatever, and has now come in with a significant measure of light that has you operating differently. But that's just another thing. I'm talking about community, or not community, as these just being neutral zones, right? And how it seems to be our human understanding and this fear and wanting to be settled in something, which just seems to be okay, but it's this like, we want it to make sense all the time. And I'm like, it's not going to make sense all the time. It may be good for you to be away from people now, but it may not be good for you to be away from people later. And it's not even a fear thing. It's just like, he has your best interest. I'm finding that he has my best interest. And so the people just become neutral in this way of like, you don't need them, but you don't not need them. You know what I'm saying? Like when people bring up how community is so important and we need it. I'm like, well, how many times are you saying you need it? Because I feel like you need it and that's a red flag, right? But do I need it? Yes. But is everything given by God as a gift and everything has its rightful time? Yes. Well, then there is a time where I don't need it. And grace covers me in the time that I don't need it, so that when I'm introduced back into community or whatever, then I don't need it in this desperate way that tries to take the place of him. That then has me like subjected to like the mind of community and feeling like I don't have a voice. Does anybody hear me? You know what I'm saying? So it's not a one size fits all.